Hello, good evening, ma'am. Thank you for joining in today. So, first of all, we welcome you on behalf of the Frida Reading Room. It's an initiative by the students of Jesus and Mary College. It's not sanctioned by administration yet, and thus it is very honored for us that you have come and agreed to speak upon it. So we have had several sessions before on themes of gender. We generally do reading sessions, and after those reading sessions, we have these talks by professors where they give us, of course, a sort of an academic insight into the things we've been covered in our reading sessions. The aim of the reading room is to generate political discourses in specifically the institutions of South Campus, which are kind of apolitical and you know which are not so much developed when we talk in terms of political discourses or being opinionated on relevant themes, and therefore we are very honored to have you. Now I would like to hand over to Sanya, and she'll give a short introduction to the theme.
Thank you.
Yes. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for joining in, everyone. So today's session is about the NEP 2020, and now, so from the undemocratic passing of the NEP in 2020 and to the amendments that are suggested in the document, there has been constant disapproval and concerns that have been voiced, especially in the current times brought by the pandemic, when the digital divide is extremely evident. Such policies serve no purpose except accentuating inequality and oppression on all the stakeholders in the education system. From the ongoing analysis, we have understood that the NEP has miserably failed to identify the existing challenges in the Indian education sector. Instead, it has paved a way for further centralization, commercialization, and communalization of education. The theme is also relevant to all of us here and should be personal to the student community. It is important to critically examine the provisions of NEP and to stand in solidarity to help strengthen the movement that Duta is leading against these exclusionary policies. On that note, I would like Srushti, on behalf of the Frida Reading Room, to take over and formally introduce our speaker, Dr. Abhadev Habib.
Professor has been extremely active, and she has always been a staunch opposition since the very inception of the new education policy. She has been associated with the Delhi University and has been taught in several colleges across the university, and also apart from the context of this talk is being organized in a situation where the issues of it are extremely relevant to all the to the entire student community as well as the teachers, and therefore we are extremely honored to have you, ma'am. Also, this is also the time, owing to the paucity of time, we cannot continue, and therefore after ma'am has spoken for 30 to 45 minutes, we'll hand over to the question and answer round. Members who wish to ask any questions can put that up in the chat box. Our moderators will take that up in the end, and you members are also requested to please turn off their videos and to turn on their videos and turn off their mics for the smooth induction of the event. Over to you, ma'am.
Uh, yeah, I thank JMC Study Circle with the JMC Circle for inviting me, or the kind of policies which have been passed. It's very important that the students also engage in discussing it. The very fact that pandemic has been used to pass these policies show that the government also understands that these policies are anti-people, that people will not welcome them. And therefore, you see the pandemic has been used to, one, pass farm laws, and you see how on the outskirts of Delhi, farmers are protesting, and this is the largest sector, and the country's economy rests on agriculture, and yet this huge sector has been ignored by the government. The government is not ready to roll back the farm laws. There have been retrograde changes in the labor laws, while the situation which migrant workers faced just as lockdown was announced when in 2020 when the pandemic started, that should have told us in what conditions labor is working, workers are working, and the government should have done something to improve their condition, their lives. Instead, the government has again changed labor laws in order to provide more in the hands of the capitalists. The third thing which has happened, and once again the largest sector, is education. And the government on 29th July 2020, through the cabinet, ignoring, bypassing the parliament, passed new education policy. I want to tell you that before this, the government had brought 2016 draft, then there was a 2019 draft, and academicians and students had opposed those drafts and had pointed out why this policy is not all right for us. And we see that how the government has used the pandemic to pass NEP 2020. Now, you might have heard this, but I'm going to repeat that NEP is being labeled by everyone as a new exclusion policy. It is a new exclusion policy, and I'll let you know why we are saying so. First, I will talk about the reforms which we will see immediately, and then there are reforms which may happen over a period of 10 years or 20 years. So the immediate thing is that making use of pandemic again, the government is trying to make this, your own experiences, my experience. Why do we need classrooms? What has happened if we are going towards online education? And there have been so many articles about it by the students, by the teachers, that how classroom is extremely important for providing a platform which is equal. I'm not saying that there are no discriminations in institutions. I'm not saying that all teachers, treat students equally, but there is an attempt. And more teachers are attempting that the classroom becomes an equal space. And that at least has to be an attempt by the institutions. Now, in a classroom, you draw out students from various sections, and we are teaching in a public funded institution, and 50% students are from Dalit Bahujan. Then there is also economically deprived section, women, the first time learners, people who are very hesitant to know that schooling happens in a very heterogeneous system, and you want to draw out students. And what the government policy is trying to do immediately, something which will come in effect right away, is through regulations which are taking away this classroom from us. Just as more and more people are aspiring to be part of the mainstream, people have realized that education has this ability to strengthen a person. It helps the person, an individual, for their growth. I mean, the only way to swim upwards is through education. And as more and more people are aspiring to be part of the education system, the formal system, instead of putting in money, what the government is trying to do is to render the regular stream, school, colleges, and universities into an open model. So what the government is trying to do is to erode the classroom. So two regulations which have already come is ABC regulation, which was given by Modi ji on 29 July 2021 as a gift to the nation, to the youth. And then there is SWAM regulation, which came in March 2021. And what are these regulations? Let me talk 1 minute on each of this. So ABC regulation says that there will be a pool of universities, and a student will have a bank. There will be a bank which will store credits of the student centrally. So you will get an enrollment number, and your credits as you will earn will keep deposit there. So instead of your university keeping track of your credit, there is a central agency where your credits are being stored. And there will be a pool of universities which are doing very well, which have NAC rating ranking, NIRF rating ranking, QS rating, and students can take any course offered by these universities also and construct their degree in the name of choice, freedom, and students, you make your own degree kind of phrases. The government is saying that the student can make their own degree. The other thing which has happened is SWAM, and once again they are saying in ABC they say 50% of your credits may come from other universities. You need not do it from your own university. There is no need. And then SWAM is there, which says that 40% of your credits can come from, there is a repository of courses. SWAYAM is that such repository, and you can take 40% of the courses from there. There is yet another document which is about to come maybe any day, while DUTA and teacher organizations, many student organizations have given their feedback against such a move, but I'm sure that UGC, UGC is going to be dismantled very soon, but the government is using right now the UGC to bring regulations. And what does blended learning note says? That whatever remains with the institution, 40% of that has to be in the blended mode. So if you decide to do, say, 20 courses, out of 40 courses, you decide to do 20 courses from the college, then within those 20 courses, each course, 40% has to be online mode. So a teacher, there is no need, and they say there is no need to have lectures. Lectures can be pre-recorded. Student will listen in their own free time, and they can come and teacher can just behave like a mentor or a coach. So we see that, why we could not celebrate, we are not able to celebrate these changes. We were not able to celebrate 5th September as Teachers' Day also, because these policies are reducing the role of the university, they are reducing the role of the teacher, and they are going to result in a framework which will degenerate the whole learning environment for students. Now, what's the problem in this? Basically, SWAYAM, ABC, and blended learning are trying to make what has been our experience today of online, trying to make that as a permanent feature of higher education. In regular stream, you have to do all your courses from your university. And what will change if, suppose I say that students are going to do 40% or 60% through online courses? Now, one thing is that, in the classroom, as I said, why do you want to come to classroom? Because classroom is a more equal space. We have experienced how the digital divide has widened the disparity, the learning environment of students. लेकिन एक और चीज है, हमारे पास जो क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग है, रिगर है, वो एक क्लासरूम में जो जनरेट होता है, जो माहौल होता है जब स्टूडेंट्स कॉलेज आते हैं, जो पढ़ाई क्लासरूम के अंदर होती है, वही उससे ज्यादा स्टूडेंट जो है कॉरिडोर में भी सीखता है, अपने पीयर के साथ सीखता है. और आज के दिन में ये होगा कि स्टूडेंट को ये लगेगा कि जो क्रेडिट है वो अगर आसानी से अर्न कर लिया जाए थ्रू एन ऑनलाइन कोर्स, then this erosion of the regular stream will start. What will also happen is that the student will lose the kind of connect it has with the teacher. It will also lose the connect with its peer and the university itself. और अगर आप सच में देखें कि ये सरकार क्यों कर रही है, वो इसलिए कर रही है क्योंकि हम स्टूडेंट टीचर रेशो की बात ना करें. If you know that IGNOU, for example, is an open university, and in that, if you will Google, you will find out that IGNOU caters to approximately 44 lakh students. And if you will find out number of teachers in IGNOU, there are less than like 2 colleges of DU put together. So close to maybe 500 posts, out of which half are filled, are full, other are lying vacant. So you don't talk about student-teacher ratio when you push things to an online mode. The same module is consumed again and again by the student, and there is no need. Yes, you can revise your modules, but then you will have a industry which will make these modules beautiful, which will revise them, tweak them slightly, but you do not need human power to run the machinery. And this is one of the vision of the government, to reduce the public spending in higher education, and so that we do not talk about student-teacher ratio, so that we do not ask for more colleges and universities, and that existing structure can be loaded further. The government is trying to push towards online education as integral part of the regular stream also. But it also wants to change is the nature of student movement. It does not want students. See, what happens is, why do you think, when when this whole thing in 2016 started in JNU, I don't know, you people might have been school students, many of you are students here, and maybe you were in school when 2016 crisis happened in JNU, and when JNU SU president was taken away by the police in the name of whatever. That, when I used to go to various TV programs during that time, one of the questions which was thrown at JNU and which was thrown at us was why students are there for 7 or 8 years. And the thing is that when the student spends more time with the institution, the student demands its correction. And the government has learned that the interaction of the student with the university should be decreased. The government has understood that if you want to jeopardize public funded higher education, if you want to jeopardize these units, kill them, and you want to silence the student, give them marks, but reduce their interaction with their own universities. And this is an attempt so that the students themselves do not come together, they don't spend time together, they don't ask for correction. You will ask the college for a teacher to teach a particular course, you will be given the answer that you do it from SWAM. That there are only 10 students to take a course, you do it from SWAM. So this is what is going to happen very quickly, because even in Delhi University, and I tell you that in Delhi University we have the largest union. In other smaller universities, the unions are either very small or they are not so functional, and there the policy will be rolled very quickly. In Delhi University, this has already been accepted that we are going for ABC model, that we will also enroll as a ABC university, and we will offer courses to other students. Now, for a university, all those people who will be coming for ABC or through any other online thing, these will be supernumerary students. So the university is not going to get any extra teacher or infrastructure for these, catering to these students. But yes, as soon as your student, as soon as my student start enrolling for SWAM or start enrolling for courses under ABC, then what we will see is a huge reduction in the workloads. And today, my friends, that more than 4,000 teachers are teaching on ad hoc basis in Delhi University every semester. Each college has to calculate workload, and teachers are hired strictly on the basis of workload, the number of total classes to be engaged by each department. And therefore, what we feel is that if this whole scheme really comes into being, and it may take a year or 2 or 10 years to really get completely implemented all over. This will mean that there will be no future need of any teachers, and what will happen to researchers, what will happen to higher education is a very big question. Will students move towards higher education if there are no teaching jobs in the universities left anymore? For making online modules and all, you don't really need teachers. You do not. You need people who can put information together, package बना दें, सुंदर बना दें. वही सब चाहिए. आजकल जैसे कोर्सेरा के कोर्सेज होते हैं, ठीक है, एक टीम का इनपुट होगा, लेकिन ये सारे भी जो है एक प्राइवेट सेक्टर सेट होगा to be doing this. Now I will quickly go through other things to show that the entire recommendations are basically a recommendation where the government wants to reduce its spending. One of the important things which is very clearly written is in draft 2019. Okay, input to regulation to NEP, draft NEP 2019. And if you have time, you read through it. The final NEP 2020 is a smaller document which has been culled out of it. Draft NEP 2019 very clearly says that right now education is happening in more than 45,000 units, public, private, put together, colleges, universities, all put together. This has to be reduced to 15,000. And it is fine that each college can be a larger thing, that universities can be larger thing. Now, all of this is being written without producing any data, without producing any survey, if you will really ask me. Since in the last 2 decades also, I mean, especially in the last 2 decades, we had one OBC expansion in 2007. Their university had to grow 50% times to introduce OBC expansion. And then recently in 2019, we have seen EWS expansion, which is like 25%. Even to get OBC expansion seats for the teachers, for infrastructure, colleges had to wait for tens of years for infrastructure to grow. And they had to wait even longer for the requisite number of teaching posts to be given and non-teaching posts to be given. Abhi bhi, these posts are not permanent appointments have not been made against these posts. You know, teachers are working on ad hoc basis. Now, if you will ask a college like Miranda House and across you is Maitri College and so on and so forth, is there any space for further expansion? The answer is no. So right now, if you will look at Miranda House as close to 4,000, 5,000 students, can we have another 5,000 students? The answer is no. Unless these 5,000 students are once again supernumerary and coming because we are offering some online courses. Okay, now when the government says that we are going to reduce the number of institutions, this means that institutions will move further from where the students are living. They will not find good institution or the possibility of finding a good institution within their suburban areas. Their own localities will reduce, and students more and more often will have to go out and live somewhere else for their education, just as for Delhi University, people from across the country come. While it is a thing of great joy for DU that people from across come, this also shows that education elsewhere has been completely destroyed. And this is actually not okay in one sense. But by scheme now, the government is saying that there will be, in some sense, fewer number of institutions. This means that people will have to spend more money in moving out of their places and spend their money. Now, once again, who are the people who will want to take then online courses? People who will want to move towards online courses. When we were looking at this, just as you said, digital divide, we discussed all of this in Duta, and we found out that it is actually the students from marginalized sections, people who will not want to spend money on traveling, on renting out space, and say, for example, in Delhi, living in a rented place for a year is like 1.5 lakh, 2 lakhs. A student is spending approximately 15,000 per month to 20,000 per month. The families who do not have that kind of money will say, okay, we will invest in a laptop, and you take most of your courses from here. Do your 2 semesters from here, go there only for some time. So who are the people who will move on out of the regular stream, in some sense, who will cut down their time in the regular stream and move towards online courses are actually students from marginalized section who will finally find that actually money wise, this may be better to have a laptop and just work through that. There is another thing which is going to happen is FYUP. If you will see that whatever you are doing right now, you have seen a lot of coverage has come, and this was passed on 24th August in the Academic Council and on 31st August in the Executive Council of Delhi University, despite our opposition. And why are we opposing? We see that FYUP structure does not bring you more in 4 years. Right now, what you are getting in 3 years, future students will get in 4 years and not much more. They have kept the 4th year in few cases for research, but research done with such a huge number of students is basically going to degenerate into what you do in class 12, your science projects, which we all know how they are bought, how you just do it for doing sake, and there is no really good research work which can happen at undergraduate level with such a large number of students. So a mindless kind of implementation of 4 year. How many students go abroad? Maybe 0.5%. For that, you are making 4 year compulsory for everyone. Now, the answer to that is no, it is not compulsory. The student can move out of the system in first year, get a certificate. Student can move out in the second year, get a diploma in the third year and get an honors degree. And then in the 4th year, either move with another minor and move out there, or like a research and move out with 4 years. Now, the unfortunate part is that if you have a same structure, and this is what we had raised in 2013 also, that if from the same structure you are trying to get a certificate course, a diploma course, and honors, then this means you are diluting the whole structure. It is neither good for the diploma nor it is good for your undergraduate honors degree. Why? Because you are looking at the same structure 4 years, and the actual thing is that it is left to the student when you want to move out. Okay, but the structure is actually made for 4 years. Just when you are moving out with first year, you are given a paper which will be called certificate. And if you will look at what the university has passed, it is on the website. You will see that they're not able to say certificate in what or diploma in what, because diploma, which is 2 year thing, is also a serious thing, and generally diploma is given in technical courses, and it is made with a vision, looking at the target student, its learning outcome, looking at what is the job prospectus, job scenario for such a student, and then making a diploma. But today we see that you are just moving out of a system in 2 years, and you are given a paper which is called diploma. This will not help you in any way, but the first 2 semesters are rendered lukewarm because certificate चाहिए, तो आपका GE has been pushed and so and so forth. But the thing is that whether you move out of the system in the first year, second or third year, you will always be considered as a dropout. Right now, also in the country, you might have done a search when you were taking admission in Delhi University. You must have seen that there are universities which are offering 4 year, and then we have a larger number of universities offering 3 year. You in Delhi University, you are doing 3 year, and you will never be considered as a dropout because you have completed a coursework offered by a university. But when the university is offering a 4 year and you drop out after 3 year, you will move out with an honors degree. You may move out with an honors degree, but you will always be considered by the job market as a dropout. And why I'm saying is because the government has failed to create employment, and the kind of dilution which will happen will also put a question mark on the employability of people. And when you have, situation where engineers and PhD holders are applying for lab assistant jobs, in a situation like that, the market will take an advantage, label you people as dropout, and give you in the service sector jobs which are like for class 12 plus students. So there is nobody wins. It is the government which is rendering the whole youth, is offering the youth in some sense to the service sector as a way of cheap labor. 4 year, again, the government has not promised any money to the institutions, is not calculating that if the 4th year, suppose in Miranda House I say, or in JMC I say, all students want to stay till 4th year. So this means we are looking at 1,000 more students staying back. In Miranda House, every year we take 1,100 students. So this means 1,100 students wanting to stay back. This means how much infrastructure, how many teachers. But when nothing has been given to us, we see that any change will be a very, very big dilution, that it cannot be a quality change. Actually, there is no intent that this should be a quality change, because I've told you that the government wants us to reduce into a market of cheap labor. So 4th year means again that the student, if they really want to seriously pursue it, they will be spending again for a 4th year. The parents and students will be burdened again. I also want to tell you that MPhil, for example, MPhil degree, which is the first research degree of a year's length, I mean, it is a 1 year course, is the first research degree which many people want to do after their MA. And this degree is being scrapped, and there will be a direct thing to PhD, but there will be no MPhil. Many people have opposed this move, because MPhil gives a first, exposure to how research is done. And many Dalit Bahujans, women students prefer to do MPhil first and get into jobs, and then later go on for their PhDs, because they do not have such concrete, or they do not have so much time to first, or ability in terms of money and all that, that they go for PhDs. And this is again an anti-student move to scrap MPhil, and the government has again not consulted academicians on this. Humanities, social science departments actually like MPhil. They say that the students who have done MPhil, they write better PhDs than those who are coming directly from MA and doing their PhD. Now, for 4+1, they say that, okay, you are doing undergraduate degree of 4 years, then MA is one. But when you will look at the 4-year structure, you will see that there is nothing from the MA which has been pushed to 4th year. Therefore, 4+1 structure is much weaker than today's 3+2 structure. And therefore, this extra spending on education by parents is meaningless, and this has to be fought. We did fight it on the same basis, and we won it in 2013. Yes, we had to wait for the students who were crushed by the system, and they became the power along with the DUTA to fight this. And we saw a rollback in 2014. And why this platform is very important. It is important that the current students also understand what are the changes. And if you are wanting to be in higher education, it is important that you also become part of the movement right away. I also want to say two things more about the other things which are going to, reduce public spending in higher education. One is that the government is very quickly moving from giving grants to the institutions for infrastructure creation and all to loans to students. And you might have heard 2016, the finance minister Arun Jaitley announced a higher education funding agency, and more money is put by the government in HIFA rather than directly to the institution. Institutions are being told to take money from HIFA as a loan, and JNU has already taken up to 400 crore loan. And how can an institution pay back money to HIFA? This will be through the student fee. So when you take loan, and these are, if you will Google, these are the examples which the newspapers quoted from what was being told to them. They said, okay, IIT wants to set a nanotechnology lab of 100 crore. It will take loan from HIFA and it will be incorporated in student fee for next 10 years. And this is how loan can be given back. So the government is moving from grants to the institution to the loan to students and loan to the institution. And the only way of for an educational institution is to to earn money is through student fee. The last thing is, and which is extremely important, is the governance pattern is going to change completely for us. One more thing which the government has said, that there will be no affiliating universities or affiliated colleges. Now, this we see as a direct assault. This is an attack on the trade union movement. They are afraid of unions like DUTA, which is basically teachers of over 70 colleges coming together to fight. They are afraid of the unions, and we see that if you have a larger system, you have more people to be participating in any action. But if you will break the system into smaller units, then the people will find it difficult. Out of 100 people, people find it difficult to oppose the authority, and that is one way of pushing people down. So the government has understood that there is, whereas it is, if you will read new education policy, it is not able to say why federal systems are not okay, why affiliating universities or affiliated colleges are not okay, why breaking them is a prior for any change. The government is not able to say, but we understand that it is, for last 10 years we have been struggling to against anti-student, anti-academic policies, and the government see DUTA as a threat, and it wants to break DUTA and other unions into smaller units, which can be controlled much more through the principals and executive directors and whatever. The next thing, which is that today, we are part of Central University. We are the Central University. There are 45 Central Universities. We are answerable to the Parliament. And the older universities were made through the Act of the Parliament. And we were made through 1922 Act. And if you will look at the Act, it's such a beautiful Act. It is so democratic. You will see that the Act does not rely on one person. It calls vice chancellor, pro vice chancellor, registrar, dean as only official. Who is an authority? The collective is an authority. So it calls academic council, which is like all heads of the department, then elected component, then executive council, which is a apex body, which is again, deans and some elected component is there. Then there is a court. It calls all these statutory bodies as authorities. So decisions are taken by these, and officials are there just to implement it. The government today is actually not happy about these acts. In 2009, many central universities were set up, 12 central universities were set up, and you will see that much erosion already happened in 2009. They were brought by one single act, Central University Act 2009, and you will see that teacher representation and everything was reduced. You will see that in some sense the vice chancellor is being labeled as a person who has to execute orders. And today we see that even that is not going to remain. Each unit will be under board of governors, which will be like 20 people, private people, anybody the government will put in the first time, and then they will choose their own members for the next time. There is nothing called representation in these bodies. They are saying that yes, there will be nomination, but there will be no representation. That the board of governors will decide teacher service condition, employee service condition, and it will decide the course to be offered and the fee structure and everything. But this is a corporatization of higher education. They want to break us into a corporate model. They want to break us into a unit where resisting will be very difficult. If you will look at the private sector which has come up, the best of the universities, Amity, Shivnadar, whatever you will say, yes, there can be, seminars on workers' rights. There will be seminars on all of this, but there will be no unions. So we will see that actually the quality is maintained because we fight collectively for improvement of the system, and the government wants to reduce this. When board of governors will be hiking fee, it will be very difficult for students to fight against it. The board of governors today, UGC regulation brings a common service caste structure for teachers and for the entire country, because we aspire to be part of, we aspire that the structure is good, that the service conditions remain good, teaching profession remains inviting. We fight for its correction. But when you will have board of governors, Miranda House teachers will have different condition, service condition from LSR, from Aditi Mahavidyalaya, from Shraddhanand, from any other university or college in the whole country. Each college will become standalone. Delhi University will have its own undergraduate programs. It may happen that a couple of colleges are taken by Delhi University as undergraduate thing, and then there will be postgraduate. Many colleges will become standalone, or cluster of colleges may declare themselves. For example, if you know that 12 colleges which are governed by Delhi government, 100% funding comes from Delhi government, time and again their salaries are being stopped, and we fear that it is because Delhi government also wants to grab these 12 colleges, declare them as a cluster under NEP, and take them away from DU. And this is what we fear. And we see that, it is because the university brings framework, hiring people, how people should be hired, and also about academic scores, curriculum is centrally governed, because there are semester end exams which happen centrally, that we are able to maintain standard over 70 colleges. When they will become standalone, many colleges will get wiped out. And today, NIRF rating has come up. I know a ranking has come up. I know Miranda House is top one, and for last 5 years. But all this actually doesn't give too much joy to me, because I understand when you read the document, you will see how rating and ranking is going to be used by the government to control funding or to declare you a teaching shop, how it will use your name to reduce you to a teaching shop, how a fees will go up in these places very quickly. The moment we come under board of governors, we will be looked as a unit which can really take money from students to give them degrees. And we have to fight all of this collectively. I will now answer questions. I think I've laid a general background in which things are happening. It is very hurtful, and I mean, in the sense hurtful means that it is unhappy moment for all of us, that education policy is coming after decades, and it is saying 6%. 6% तो राधा कृष्णन के उस समय पुराने समय में हो गया था, जब आजादी के बाद एजुकेशन पॉलिसी बन रही थी, वो बोल रहे थे 6% जीडीपी का एजुकेशन की ओर स्पेंड करेंगे। आज जब हम लोग सब 10% मांग रहे हैं और जब आज 50% जनता 25 साल से कम उम्र में है, तो देखिए मेरा मानना ये है कि दो ही तरीके हो सकते हैं। एक तरीका ये हो सकता है कि हम सबको मिलाएं और एक नॉलेज जनरेट करने का हब बने, सरकार पब्लिक हेल्थ और पब्लिक एजुकेशन पे स्पेंड करे और इसी से नेशन स्ट्रांग होता है। स्ट्रांग नेशन एक के मसल होने पे नहीं होता है। और दूसरा तरीका ये हो सकता है कि हम एक बाजार बन जाए चीप लेबर का। और मुझे ये डर है कि जिस तरीके की पॉलिसीज आ रही हैं, जिस तरीके की पेपर को वो लोग डिग्री कहना चाहते हैं, जिस तरीके से सिलेबस को कंट्रोल किया जा रहा है, जिस तरीके से आपने पढ़ा होगा यूजीसी के हिस्ट्री सिलेबस पे जो शोर है, जिस तरीके से महाश्वेता देवी और 2 तमिल राइटर्स का यहाँ पर डिलीट होना, ये सारी चीजें इस तरीके से जा रही हैं कि आपके पास एक्सीलेंस और रिगर रहेगा नहीं और आप बन पाएंगे सिर्फ सर्विस सेक्टर में काम करने वाले चीप लेबर की तरह मजदूर। और मैं उन मजदूरों के लिए नहीं बोल रही हूँ, लेकिन एस्पायर लोग व्हाइट कॉलर जॉब के लिए कर रहे हैं। एक नया तरीके का कास्ट सिस्टम होगा जिसमें जिसके पास रुपया है उसी के पास एजुकेशन होगा, उसी के बच्चे को व्हाइट कॉलर जॉब्स मिलेंगे और बाकी सब जो हैं सर्विस सेक्टर में काम करके अपनी बस रोटी रोजी को पूरा करेंगे। तो इसको तो मिलकर ही लड़ना है, किसानों के साथ भी लड़ना है, मजदूरों के साथ। ये तीनों सेक्टर अगर मिला लिए जाएं तो ऐसा कोई घर नहीं है जो इन व्यवस्थाओं से, इन पॉलिसी से दूर रह सकता है, बच सकता है। और इसीलिए ये हमारी एक सांझी लड़ाई होनी चाहिए। थैंक यू सानिया, थैंक्स एवरीवन।
Thank you so much, ma'am. Adrija,
Yeah, I'll go ahead. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was such an informative session. Like all of us present here, I'm really glad to have you and hear from you. I'm sure that, now that we have educated ourselves, what detrimental consequences NEP would bring about, how the nuances in the document blurs the reality, we all would unite and voice our opinion against such commercialization and corporatization of education. Okay, moving ahead. So now the floor is open for questions. I request the participants, if you have any questions for ma'am, you can unmute yourself and speak, or else you can write in the chat box. We can read it out. Participants, you can go ahead.
Ma'am, I had a question. So, like the consequences of NEP are extremely evident, and no one can, argue that NEP can result in something fruitful for us. But like, where do you see like the DOTA has been protesting constantly? There are various campaigns launched by the university students and various organizations as well. So, do you see the possibility of government rolling back these reforms?
देखिए, our experience for last 10 years is that one thing is that movements are democratic और जब तक लोगों तक इंफॉर्मेशन और ये सब नहीं पहुंचता है तब तक मूवमेंट खड़ा नहीं होता है। अनफॉर्चुनेटली पॉलिसी जो है रातों रात ऊपर से हम पे थोप दी जाती है, तो हमेशा मूवमेंट बनाने में टाइम लगता है। इस बारी एक और दिक्कत ये हो रही है और मैं स्टूडेंट्स के सामने ये शेयर भी करना चाह रही हूँ कि सरकार अभी सारे जो इंस्टीट्यूशन है जिनको एक्चुअली ऑटोनॉमस होना चाहिए था, उनका इस्तेमाल करके भी एनईपी को लागू कर रही है और ये बहुत परेशानी की बात है। तो आप देखेंगे कि कॉलेजेस को ये कहा गया है कि आपको एनईपी पे प्रोग्राम्स करने हैं, प्रिंसिपल्स को ये कहा गया है कि आपको करने हैं। जिस तरीके से हमने देखा था कि यूजीसी ने जो है वैक्सीनेशन का फ्लेक्स बैनर चारों ओर भेज दिया था सारे इंस्टीट्यूशंस को कि आप ये फ्लेक्स बैनर लगाइए, ऐसे ही आजादी का अमृत भेज दिया था। उसी तरीके से एनईपी के ऊपर भी उसके प्रचार में सरकार लगी हुई है और इसी बात से हमें डरना चाहिए कि अगर सरकार अपने पूरे जो ऑटोनॉमस तंत्र होना चाहिए था, एक ऑटोनॉमस यूनिट होना चाहिए था जिससे वो सलाह मांगती आगे चलने के लिए, उसके से सलाह ना मांगकर उसका इस्तेमाल कर रही है अपने स्ट्रक्चर को लादने का। तो मुझे लगता है कि आम जनता को इससे वरीड होना चाहिए और साथ आना चाहिए। ये जरूर हो सकता है, देखिए हमें कभी कभी ये भी लगता है ये जो यूनिवर्सिटी कॉलेजेस बंद रखे हैं ये एक बहुत बड़ी साजिश है। फार्मर्स चाहे मूवमेंट हो चाहे स्टूडेंट मूवमेंट हो, उसका रंग अलग होगा जब लोग कैंपस लौटेंगे। और ये कई बार होता है कि जैसे अनफॉर्चुनेटली फॉर्चुनेटली फॉर कॉलेजेस यू आर अ मूविंग स्ट्रीम, 3 साल आप बिताएंगे, आप निकल जाएंगे और जिस तरीके का कंपटीशन है कई बार हमारे पास टाइम भी नहीं होता है मूवमेंट से जुड़ने का। पर फिर जब स्टूडेंट क्रश होता है, जब ऐसी चीजें क्रश करेंगे, जिन लोगों की नौकरियां जाएंगी, मूवमेंट धीरे धीरे उससे भी बनता है। तो इसको समय लग सकता है पर ये इतने एंटी पॉलिसी डॉक्यूमेंट्स हैं कि इसके ऊपर मूवमेंट बनेगा, ये सरकार रोल बैक करेगी या वो 2024 में लोकसभा चुनाव का एक तरीके से मुद्दे बनेंगे। हमें तो ये कोशिश करनी चाहिए कि 2024 में वो एक बहुत बड़े मुद्दे बने ताकि हमें रिलीफ मिले। किसान भी इसी तरीके से बैठे हैं, इसी उम्मीद से बैठे हैं या तो ये सरकार सुनेगी या ये सरकार नहीं सुनेगी तो उसको हिलाने का भी काम जो है हमारा ही है, और उसको इलेक्शन का मुद्दा बनाकर उस पर रिलीफ लाना भी हम ही लोगों का काम है, तो ये मूवमेंट तो आगे चलेगा।
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so I guess people are still writing in the chat box before, so we'll give them some time. Meanwhile, there were some questions sent by the participants while they were registering for this session. We'll first take that up.
Okay, sure.
Yes, ma'am. So the first question is, how the vocational education under NEP will reinforce capitalism?
देखो ऐसा है कि vocational training, for example, if you will read NEP, my thing on NEP is much from higher education, but I'll tell you the kind of criticism which I've heard. If you will look at NEP model, actually vocationalization right now in schools also start only later. But what NEP is trying to do is to start vocational training from 6th onwards. Now, when we say 6th onwards in school, then you know that how caste-ridden even now the society is. In the school, who will be pushed towards vocational training, स्टूडेंट जवाब नहीं दे पाएगा तो उसको 10 बारी कहा जाएगा कि आप इस लायक ही नहीं हो और तुम्हारा बाप कारपेंटर है तो तुम भी कारपेंट्री करो। आपको मालूम है किस तरीके से महिलाएं जो हैं वो साइंस स्ट्रीम में कम आई, धीरे धीरे आई। आज भी बहुत जगह हो जाता है जहां पर आपको ये कह दिया जाता है कि रट के नंबर आ रहे हैं पर अकल शायद आप में कम हो। किस तरीके से फप्ती कस दी जाती है, कौन से सब्जेक्ट महिलाएं ले, ये सब क्लियर है। उसी तरीके से वोकेशनल ट्रेनिंग क्लास 6 से शुरू करने का मतलब यह है कि जाति के आधार पे और जो माँ बाप का काम है उसके आधार पे हो सकता है बच्चों को पुश किया जाए कि आप ये वोकेशनल ट्रेनिंग लो। तो ये एक तरीके से एक कास्ट सिस्टम को बनाए रखने का तरीका भी है। और फिर जो एक चीप लेबर, देखिए कॉर्पोरेटाइजेशन का, कॉर्पोरेट वर्ल्ड को मदद करने का सबसे अच्छा तरीका ये है कि ऐसा चीप लेबर आप प्रोड्यूस कर दें जो एम्पावर्ड ना हो पाए, जिसके पास ये शक्ति ना हो कि वो आपके ऊपर एक ललकार फेंक पाए और उसके आप सारे राइट्स ले लें। तो ये वोकेशनलाइजेशन, ये जो अर्ली वोकेशनलाइजेशन है दैट विल हर्ट इट। दूसरी बात ये है कि यूनिवर्सिटीज और वोकेशनल ट्रेनिंग अलग अलग हैं और आप वोकेशनल ट्रेनिंग में भी बेहतरीन काम दे सकते हैं। जो हमारा ट्रेजरी एजुकेशन था वो इसी में बटा हुआ है, higher education में बटा हुआ है, then professional colleges and then vocational. But to mix university and vocational will mean that you may start allowing some credits from vocational courses for your main degree, and this will result in the dilution of the main degrees also, and also not allow you to be good in your own vocational training programs. So vocational trainings, the government can put lot of money there and make them very good. And so that there is a skilled labor which comes out and who is paid well. But this is not the attempt of the government to make a hodgepodge situation, will not help us.
Yes, they're basically trying to make us slaves to them. Okay, so the next question is, how do you think NEP will create an army of conformists to the state machinery?
NEP का देखिए एक चीज जो अभी हमने 4 ईयर पास किया है और जैसे ही हमने 4 ईयर पास किया है तो हमें ये लग रहा है कि it may happen that UGC will create a 4 year and send that across the universities. And this is what has happened in 2015 with choice-based credit system. That was the first assault by this government, by Modi 1 government, on all the universities. Our universities are known across the world for the courses they design and the value in the content and the pedagogy. And if that task is taken away from the universities, this is an attack on the autonomy of the universities and teachers. And choice-based credit system, the framework and the course content was given by UGC with only 20% or 30% freedom to universities to tweak that. And even that, in which we see that if you are reading Mahashweta Devi, if you are reading Bama and Sukhidharini, then this is not acceptable by some. And now the university is being pushed to look at oversight committee, to look at these hard sentiments and tweak the course and not stand by the department. So all of this is something like generating conformances. तो आप क्या कर रहे हैं? आप लोगों को सोचने का टाइम ही नहीं दे रहे हैं, आजादी नहीं दे रहे हैं. आप कोई स्पेशल चीज कोई यूनिवर्सिटी कर पाए ये आप अलाउ नहीं कर रहे हैं. आप कोर्स को ही सैनिटाइज कर दे रहे हैं. देखिए मेरा जो मूवमेंट से वास्ता रहा और मैंने देखा कि सबसे ज्यादा जो मूवमेंट है वो ह्यूमैनिटीज सोशल साइंस से आता है, क्योंकि अगर आप ह्यूमैनिटीज सोशल साइंस पढ़ते हैं, अगर आप डिस्पैरिटीज को देखते हैं तो आपको ये समझ आता है कि कौन सी पॉलिसी जो है, कोई भी पॉलिसी हो, वो वैक्यूम में नहीं देखी जा सकती. एनईपी भी वैक्यूम में नहीं देखी जा सकती. एनईपी को भी देखने के लिए आपको सोशल सोसाइटी का क्या स्ट्रक्चर है और उसमें वो कैसे आएगा, उसमें क्या उसकी रूपरेखा होगी, वो आपको पढ़ना होगा. और सोशल साइंटिस्ट को अगर ट्रेनिंग हो पढ़ाई लिखाई से तो वो ये बेहतरीन तरीके से देख पाते हैं. और इसलिए मैंने देखा है कि रेजिस्टेंस में सोशल साइंस से और ह्यूमैनिटीज से बहुत लोग जुड़ते हैं. तो पेडागॉजी एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है कि आप देश के बारे में, दुनिया के बारे में, अपने आसपास के बारे में कैसे देखें. अब आपने अगर कोर्स ही सैनिटाइज कर दिया और आपने ये बता दिया, फॉर एग्जांपल पोस्टर छाप के नेहरू तो इंडिपेंडेंस में उनका कोई हाथ ही नहीं था, तो आपको पोस्टर ही आपका चेंज कर रहे हैं, आपका कोर्स ही चेंज कर दे रहे हैं, तो आपको तो ऐसा बना देंगे कि आप सवाल भी नहीं पूछेंगे. आप ऐसी जनता बनने वाले हैं जिसके पास क्रिटिकल रिगर ही नहीं होगा. सवाल ना पूछे जनता, वही एम है पढ़ाई का. आज के दिन में जो सरकार चाहती है वो पढ़ाई के माध्यम से. ये बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग बात है कि while the governments don't want to spend money, they want to commercialize education, but education also becomes a way to design any propaganda to capture people, their mind. And this is what we see is the attempt by the government. Why should UGC design a history syllabus where there is no medieval stress on medieval India, as if Mughals did not exist? So, I mean, all of this, I mean, is a way to, sort of make people, instead of inducing critical rigor, it is just going to, the government is trying to do just the opposite. And also when when you see that Miranda House teacher has come and spoken to you, I'm speaking to my students, when you see your own teachers in Duta marches, you try to stand up. Okay, you also stand up for your issues. You also are ready to fight. But if you will see that your own teachers are not able to stand against any kind of assault, that is also a learning. For example, this thing that many of our family members are working in corporate sector and they start looking at individual problems. They think themselves as individual, negotiate with the system as an individual and not think is in a collective. That also becomes our learning. And more individual we become, we lose the agency, we lose the power to resist, to fight onslaught, which is of a very different magnitude. I mean, very difficult to overcome as an individual. It is only as a collective. तो ये सारी चीज तो हमें समझाई जा रही है. समाज से हर समय हमें एक आइसोलेशन में डाल दिया गया है और कोविड ने भी यही किया है. हम इंडिविजुअली नेगोशिएट कर रहे हैं सिस्टम को, हम कलेक्टिवली एक दूसरे की समस्याओं को देखते हुए रिस्पॉन्ड नहीं कर पा रहे और यही सरकार चाहती है. और इसीलिए जैसे मैंने कहा कि फेडरल सिस्टम दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी को तोड़ के इंडिविजुअल स्मॉल कॉलेजेस को अलग अलग ऑटोनॉमस बना देना चाहती है. कल को डूटा जाएगी किसी साथी की मदद करने तो वहां का प्रिंसिपल भी वाइस चांसलर की तरह एक्ट करेगा. अभी one principal among 70 people, 70 principals. Tomorrow they will be all vice chancellors and they will listen to Duta. So this is how you break the system till such time the individual finds themselves very vulnerable. And vulnerability से ही आपका ये होता है कि आप conformist बनते हैं, आपको वही करना पड़ता है जो आपको बताया जा रहा है.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So there is a comment from Astha Patel. She asks, ma'am, it is seen that NEP will bring more liberty to the students, be it deciding the stream in school or to design their own degrees in college. Please share your views on it.
It is like saying that, okay, आपकी बीमारी आप सीधा केमिस्ट जाकर और अपनी दवाई खरीद लीजिए. आपके पास लिबर्टी, आपके पास जेब में रुपया है. आपको डॉक्टर नहीं चाहिए क्या? आपको सलाह नहीं चाहिए क्या? आप डिग्री बना रहे हैं, उस डिग्री का कोई मीनिंग है? सरकार खुद कह रही है कि अगर स्टूडेंट ने ऐसी कोई डिग्री बना ली चॉइस करते करते कि वो किसी भी पर्टिकुलर स्ट्रक्चर में नहीं आई तो उसको बैचलर ऑफ लिबरल आर्ट्स कह देंगे. लिबरल एजुकेशन कह देंगे। इसको मार्केट कैसे देखेगा? आज जहाँ स्किल्ड होने का इम्पोर्टेंस है, एक आप स्पेशलाइजेशंस का इम्पोर्टेंस है, योर हायरिंग इज ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ स्पेशलाइजेशन, टू हैव a degree where you are not specializing in anything and you are just, see what is my fear that अभी जो हमारा पेंडेमिक से हुआ, आप लोग सब कह रहे हैं कि डिजिटल डिवाइड है, मैं तो बातचीत कर रही हूँ इसलिए सारे सबको पता है किस तरीके से चीटिंग हुआ, अनप्रॉक्टेड एग्जाम हुए, आप लोगों ने भी कई लोगों ने शामिल हुए, नहीं हुए मुझे नहीं मालूम, लेकिन बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स ने अनप्रॉक्टेड तरीके से एग्जाम लिया और उसका बेनिफिट भी लिया। आज भी कह दिया जाए कि ऑफलाइन एग्जाम होगा तो स्टूडेंट्स कहेंगे नहीं हमें ऑनलाइन ही चाहिए, क्योंकि आपको मालूम है कि आपके पास क्वेश्चन पेपर तो बाद में व्हाट्सएप होगा, पहले आंसर व्हाट्सएप होंगे। नाउ बिकॉज ऑफ दिस यू विल वांट टू मेक योर ओन डिग्री, बैलेंस कर लेंगे, कुछ हम क्लास में चले जाएंगे और मैम का ज्यादा काम करना पड़ेगा, असाइनमेंट लिखना पड़ेगा, और कुछ हम कर लेंगे कि ऑनलाइन डिग्री लेने और हमारे 90% आ जाए। ये मार्केट को भी पता है। If you know how you have made your 90% and you cannot put your show mehnat, or you can show your rigor and your understanding of the subject, then the market also knows you. It will treat your degree as a paper degree. So ye jo hai, a student is always making an academic choice while making a choice that there is academics into it. I don't think so. And a large number of people are coming, first generation of people coming to education. Do you think that they have wisdom? They have information. Wisdom means information, your experience, your family experience. Do they have that support to choose? But what will happen if you are only doing 40% of your education from your school, college? Will you fight for the washrooms to be neat and tidy? Will you fight for water? Will you fight for library? Will you fight for good teachers? The answer is no. Will you fight that the classroom has to be clean? तुम्हें लगेगा 1 घंटा ही तो बैठना है ना, वापस जाना है, हमें लड़ना नहीं है। और इसी को सरकार चाहती है। सरकार चाहती है कि ऐसे आवाज ना उठे कि करेक्शन हो सिस्टम के, क्योंकि सिस्टम के करेक्शन करने में सबसे ज्यादा जान जाने वाला है। उसमें उसको कमिट करना पड़ेगा अपना रुपया और रिगर इन हायरिंग पीपल, इन मेकिंग पीपल परमानेंट। Today you want choice as a student, but there will be no teaching jobs. Will anybody become teachers? Who will become teachers? What will they give to the next generation? It is very interesting, education is a very interesting loop. Today's student is tomorrow's teacher, and teachers learning and working environment becomes students learning environment. So it is a cycle. It is not like a Nokia handset gone bad and the company can junk it. You are going to damage research and teaching for the next generation of students also. And one thing which I have not said, all of this is completely anti-women. I tell you that in NEP, they say that in consolidation for schools, they are saying that what we are going to do is that, छोटे-छोटे स्कूलों की जगह बड़े स्कूल करें। मैं एक हरियाणा के प्रोग्राम में गई थी, वहाँ टीचर्स अपनी बात रख रहे थे और उन्होंने कहा 8वीं के बाद एक ही वॉशरूम है स्कूल में, वो भी बंद रहता है बाय द टीचर, एक ही टीचर है, वो भी गंदा सा वॉशरूम है। लड़कियों को खेत में जाना पड़ता है, लेकिन माँ बाप इसके बाद 8वीं के बाद बच्चियों को हटा देते हैं। तो अगर 5 गांव को पार करके स्कूल हो जाएगा, स्कूल का गांव बंद हो जाएगा छोटा होने की वजह से, क्या स्टूडेंट पढ़ पाएगा? महिला पढ़ पाएगी? जब एजुकेशन भारी हो जाएगी, और आज भी लड़का हो लड़की हो, किसको माँ बाप पढ़ाने वाले हैं? आप देखिए, आजादी के बाद लड़कियां पढ़ पाएं क्योंकि पब्लिक फंडेड एजुकेशन था। आज भी लड़कियां पढ़ पा रही हैं क्योंकि पब्लिक फंडेड एजुकेशन में पढ़ पा रही हैं। अदरवाइज माँ बाप के सामने चॉइस बहुत क्लियर है। अभी जब ऑनलाइन टीचिंग शुरू हुआ, अच्छे से अच्छे कॉलेज में हमने सुना कि 2nd ईयर की बच्ची से कहा जा रहा है शादी कर लो। जितना इकोनॉमिक कंस्ट्रेन होगा माँ बाप को, ये जो सोसाइटी है उसके हिसाब से लगेगा बेटी की शादी कर दें कुछ रुपए देकर और बेटे को बस पढ़ा दें। तो जो महिला की एजुकेशन है, दैट इज गोइंग टू टेक अ यू टर्न। डिप्लोमा अगर 2 साल का मिल सकता होगा, बहुत सारे माँ बाप आपको कहेंगे बेटा तुम डिप्लोमा मिल गया ना, छोड़ दो, बस डिप्लोमा ले लो, फिर बाद में शादी के बाद देख लेना। ये जो होता है कि आप यहाँ दिल्ली में बैठे हैं, लड़ रहे हैं, अपने माँ बाप से कहते नहीं एमए तो करना ही है, आपके दोस्त भी आपकी मदद कर देते हैं, कोई टीचर आपकी मदद कर देता है, आप एमए भी कर लेते हैं, फिर पीएचडी के लिए जाते हैं या अपना पैर पे खड़ा करते हैं। ये सारी एजेंसी महिलाओं से हटने वाली, तो ये कॉर्पोरेट भी है, और ये जो इनका मॉडल है जिसके अंदर कास्ट वहीं का वहीं रहे, महिलाओं की स्थिति वहीं की वहीं रहे, ये इसको भी दोबारा से रेखांकित करने वाला है। जो सबसे बड़ा खतरा सरकार के सामने है, जब मैं आपको बताऊं 30-70 आया था, नया पे रिविजन आया, सरकार ने कहा 70% जो बढ़ी हुई तनख्वाह हम देंगे, 30% आप इंस्टीट्यूशन पैदा करें, यानी कि स्टूडेंट फी। 28 मार्च 2018 को 15,000 स्टूडेंट और टीचर जो हैं जंतर मंतर पे मार्च किए डूटा के बैनर के अंदर, और सबसे बड़ी संख्या उसमें दलित, बहुजन और महिलाओं की है, क्योंकि उनको पता है कि जिस दिन पब्लिक फंडेड एजुकेशन हट गया तो हमारी पढ़ाई लिखाई हट जाएगी और हम फिर वापस उस यू टर्न को हो जाएंगे जहां हम जाना नहीं चाहते। जेएनयू में भी क्यों प्रॉब्लम है सरकार को, जेएनयू से क्यों लेबल कर रखा है? क्योंकि वहां से सबसे ज्यादा गरीब घरों के बच्चों को पढ़ने का मौका मिलता है, जिनका भविष्य बदलता है, वो आईएएस ऑफिसर तक बनते हैं, और या वो इंस्टीट्यूट्स में आज प्रोफेसर हैं। और इसी चीज को सरकार तोड़ना चाहती है, और इसी के खिलाफ, इस सरकार के खिलाफ हम लोग खड़े हैं, क्योंकि महिलाओं की शिक्षा खत्म हो जाएगी, दलित बहुजन की शिक्षा खत्म हो जाएगी। आपको बहुत दिनों बाद पता चलेगा कि ये डिप्लोमा जो है बिल्कुल बेकार है, इसके ऊपर मुझे कोई नौकरी नहीं मिली, 12वीं के आधार पे नेल पॉलिश दिखाने का ही काम मिला। आप थोड़ा और अच्छे कपड़े पहन पाओगे, आप थोड़ी अंग्रेजी सीख पाओगे, इसका इस्तेमाल I think you will have to put people on mute. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am, thank you.
Yeah.
Like this has been really a wonderful evening. Like
Same
it's
for me.
already time now.
Yeah, I know there is another meeting for which we have to start a Zoom thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So, Comrade Alina, you can go ahead and take over.
So hi all. So our meeting has come to an end. We would like to mention our special thanks to our respected ma'am for giving us your valuable time. We have been really enlightened by your thoughts. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
We shall stand together in this fight against NEP. And I thank our wonderful audience also who have joined for this session today. And from now on, Student Reading Room, we are looking for a more good sessions with you all. Thank you for joining today. Thank you all. Now everyone can leave the meeting after.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you so much.
This is very important. Student and teacher have been strength of the movement. DUTA believes in a joint struggle. We win when we walk along with our students on the streets and fight for our rights. Inqilab Zindabad.